Back when DE came out, Persians were considered to be a very strong civilization on most maps, especially water-type nomad maps, due to them starting with an extra 50 food and 50 wood, which let them build a house and a fishing ship instantly, while other civs had to collect a bit of wood once their TC finished in order to create their first fishing ship. This, coupled with a 5% faster working town center and dock, led them to be a top-tier civ on Nomad. Even on regular land maps, though, the improved TC work rate was just as good. So good, in fact, that when the bonus was changed to start only in Feudal Age, Persians went from one of the best civs to arguably the worst. In addition to getting this nerf, most other civs that were underperforming got buffs, so you could say that Persians got a bit power crept, meaning that the overall strength of other civs got significantly stronger, while Persians got a slight nerf. Was this really just a slight nerf, though? In this video, I'm going to try to quantify just how impactful the Persians' Dark Age work rate bonus really is, now that with a recent patch, it's back in the game. The test I've come up with includes 5 civilizations, creating up to 15 or 16 villagers. Player 1 is Persians, and Player 2 is Saracens, which doesn't have any bonus here. Player 3 is Celts with their 15% faster lumberjacks, while Player 4 is alternate universe Mayans, where they start with an additional villager without needing to get loom first. The Mayans' trees also last 15% longer, which does increase efficiency a little bit due to less walking time trying to find another tree. The final civ is Romans with their 5% faster work rate. This test ends after Feudal Age research completes for the Persians, which is only slightly after the other civs at this population, at which point I force drop all of the villagers and check how much wood they've collected. Okay, before we get to the results, let's talk a little bit about how the Persians' work rate bonus works. It makes the town center produce villagers 5% faster than other civs, which means that you're spending more food to keep your town center working, but you do end up with more villagers earlier. An important thing to keep in mind is that having each villager come out earlier is actually much better than simply +1 villager after creating 20 villagers. Since each villager gets to be produced earlier and earlier compared to the opponents, those villagers can start working earlier as well. This of course means more resources collected, as well as having access to a few more villagers early, which can be used to go forward to steal resources, or maybe reduce the damage taken from losing a villager early. The main downside is that you have to spend more wood on houses earlier, and as I said before, the actual 50 food per villager cost as well. When compared to the Romans bonus, which is also a 5% bonus, each Roman villager is more valuable, so losing one or sending one forward has a bigger impact on the economy compared to Persians. Since in the early game you only have one town center to produce from, the bottleneck for making more villagers is the TC work rate. Even Hindustanis with their cheaper villagers get hit just as hard when losing a villager early compared to other civilizations, as even though their villager cost less, they will still have the same villager count as other civs. The exceptions where each individual villager is worth less to kill are those that can have more villagers early compared to generic, aka Chinese, Mayans after the opponent gets loom, Malay after aging up, and Bengalis after reaching the next age. And of course our Persians. The Persian work rate bonus doesn't just affect villager creation. Like a less effective version of the Malay bonus, it makes you age up faster as well. This lets you hit a 19 villager timing to Feudal Age while being on 20 villagers, and also getting up slightly faster than your opponent, which could lead to a Scout War victory, which of course can snowball a lot. Unlike the Malay bonus, the Persians get that additional villager ahead of the opponent before even clicking to Feudal Age, though as we discussed earlier, it's even better than that. A single villager collects around 50 wood in 130 seconds, which is the time it takes to research Feudal Age. This just shows how strong it is to have an additional villager before clicking Feudal. Malay gets to create their additional villagers after reaching Feudal Age, so their window where they have more resources to work with is pushed more towards the middle of Feudal Age, instead of much earlier as with the Persians. As this is a real-time strategy game, the earlier you have resources, the better. If you think about early Feudal Age and all of the things you want to buy, just being able to afford a bit more than your opponent can be the difference between winning an early battle and not. So with that said, let's take a look at the results. Persians collected 1,773 wood, Saracens got 1,659. Celts expectedly came in first with 1,895, and alternate universe Mayans came in just behind with 1,853. And similar to Persians, the Romans collected 1,764. Since the Romans' bonus is 5% faster working villagers, and the Persians' bonus gives you 5% more villagers, it makes sense that they would yield roughly the same results. The Mayans with an additional villager working from the start was only 80 wood ahead of the Persians. Persians start with plus 50 food and plus 50 wood, remember, so in actuality, Persians' early bonuses are better than that of this theoretical Mayan civ, since Mayans start with negative 50 food to offset the free villager. If there was a civ that got a free villager with no drawback, Persians would surpass them in resources in early feudal age. The big winner here, Celts, gets a solid 120 resources ahead of the Persians, though factoring in the free 100 resources from the start, it's only about a 20 wood difference. Also, I don't know if you've realized, but in an actual game, you're not sending every single villager to wood at the start, so Celt's bonus is significantly weaker. We all know how strong the Celt wood bonus is, and I think we can safely say that Persian economy is on another level, since this is just Dark Age. The bonus gets stronger to 10% in Feudal and 15% in Castle Age, with a whopping 20% in Imperial Age, which, after such a strong start, snowballs very fast. Finally, looking at the generic economy, Persians is a solid 200 resources up going into Feudal Age. Many civs have bonuses that are worth about that much at this stage, but having the flexibility to spend those resources on whatever you want is definitely a big plus. It seems like Persians would have been completely fine with just the reintroduction of this Dark Age work rate bonus, so I fear that the other buffs that they received at the same time were just too much. Those buffs being Parthian tactics available in Castle Age, mounted units generate 5 gold when killing military units, Savar instead of Paladin being available, which is basically an overall better unit, Caravanserai being available for team games, and Mahout's movement speed for war elephants for free, and the unique tech being replaced by citadels, which makes castles fire bullets, which are pretty strong. All of these additions will probably make Persians top tier if we don't see some nerfs, but I guess let's wait and see what the upcoming tournament results are before we make any real calls for changes.